Hey, what's up amigos? Today I'm going to show you how I edited this photo in Lightroom and then Photoshop. Before we start, it's worth to mention that I've edited the photo completely in Lightroom and then moved it to Photoshop. So all the toning, all the stuff that we usually do in Photoshop was actually done in Lightroom for a change. And that's because the photo, it looks good as it is. Also, you will have to purchase and download the following overlay mega pack. I'll leave a link to the description below. And I think it's a very handy and useful sort of asset that should sit actually in your toolbox. Now, once you download and extract the file, which is quite large, you'll get about 9 folders, and each folder has sort of overlays, starting with the first batch, second bundle. You've got here floating dusts, sunlight, bubbles overlays, flare and haze, and if you go in that folder, you will see the high quality overlays over there, and this is what we are going to mainly use for this tutorial. I think it's really important to have such assets, like I said, in your toolbox, so whenever you'd like to go, up and beyond what you usually do, add a bit of flare or the haze or any sort of overlay, this one is pretty useful, and it has a set of tutorial on how to use them, and this is what I'm basically going to show you. But first things first, let's head to Lightroom and actually start editing this photo. So we'll start with the basics. I'm not going to touch to the highlights, shadows, whites, and everything else. I just like it the way it looks. I'm just going to add a bit of clarity, which is a bit of contrast. About 33 is fine. Vibrance is another smart sort of saturation level, so I'll add that at 21. I'll decrease the saturation and I'll add it selectively just below. If you go to the HSL sort of panel, we are going to, like I said, increase the reds. Going to pump it up a bit. The orange affects the red, so if you actually take it down, you'll see you remove most of the red. So I'm just going to up that a bit. Say around here is fine. Similarly with the yellow, but it's just having that color cast on the rims, if you notice, which I'm going to remove. Right about there. I'll also remove the greens, the aqua, blue. I'll add a bit of the purple. It affects the red a bit. And I'm gonna keep the magenta as it is. Now, split toning. Usually we tone the images in Photoshop. This time we're going to use the split toning in Lightroom. And we're going to add a bit of green tint to the shadows. So say around here is, well, that's quite perfect. See the before and after. Yeah, I kind of like that. You might want to increase a bit on the reds. Okay, now I'm going to add a bit of sharpening, and I'm going to selectively add a mask to do so. So everything is what is being sharpened, and then when you move the mask, you are selectively selecting where to sharpen, and I kind of like just these details. Okay, we're going to add a bit of vignette, but before we do so, let's remove chromatic aberration in case any exists. And I'll adjust the lens, enable the profile correction for the lens, which is the Canon, and it detected the 24-105, which is correct. Now I'm going to add a bit of vignetting, like so, kind of like that, just right there. And we are done with Lightroom. Let's see the before and now after, just to match the sets that we've previously worked on in Photoshop and have sort of a similar theme to it. All right, now I'm going to do is edit the photo and then edit in Adobe Photoshop. All right, now that we are in Photoshop, let's start bringing in the overlays from the bundle, the overlay bundle mega pack that we have purchased and downloaded. So I'll start with the floating dust. I believe it was, I think 18 what I've used. I'm going to drag this and I'm going to resize it to fit. There you go. Enter. Then send the blending mode or set the blending mode to screen, and there you have it. Let's see the before and after. Now here's the trick. Let's say you did not like the way the overlay added or removed a bit of your contrast. What you can do is add a bit of let's add a level adjustment layer and lock it up to that overlay. And I'm going to drag this slider to the right. And as you can see, as I move it, it starts to adding a bit of contrast, crushing the black sort of effect. About there is fine. I just don't want to remove all the dust, because if we did this, then it just, you know, the dust disappears. I'd like to retain the dust stuff. All right, you can do similar things. Let's add a hue and saturation, and we will lock it down to the dust layer and then click colorize. Now we can also change the color of the dust just the way we like it. Let's keep it to the red. Kind of like it there. Maybe add a bit of saturation. Like so. Now let's add the sort of red petals. I think that's what they call it. And I believe it sits under the bundle 8. Alright, bundle 8, red petals, photo overlays, 1, and I used number 3. I kind of like that because the leaves or the flowers, the petals, the foreground are sort of blurred, and the one at the background are in sort of focus. So I'm just going to drag this, and I'm going to have it there. And like we did, we're going to adjust it like so. Press enter, and this time I'm going to use the curves just to add a bit of contrast to it. I'm going to lock it down to the layer below and just add a nice curve. Let's say see the before and after, just subtle, nothing too much. That adds up to the image. All right, now to the light leaks. We're going to go back to the bundle, the mega bundle, and we are going to flare and haze. And I've used, no, I think it's way below. I think it was, oh, sorry, it's light leaks. I used the light leaks and not the flare and haze. Although you can use the flare and haze if you wanted to. You can change the colors, add contrast, and so on and forth. I'm just trying to replicate what I've done. And let's drag this instance to our masterpiece, Picasso. All right, and I'm going to change the blending mode to screen, and it looks good as it is. However, if you notice, it left the blacks sort of remove that contrast from the image. So we're going to actually bring that back by adding a levels. You can do the same with, I mean, I've showed you different ways. You can do it with the levels, you can do it with the curves, and I'm pretty sure you can do it with maybe other tools as well. It's just the idea on using different adjustment layers or tools to achieve the same effects. And there you go. We are done with our masterpiece. I hope that was helpful, as usual. I'm going to leave links to the mega bundle below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. That's a really nice way to support me. And up until the next video, amigos.